Welcome back. Chelsea, October 2015. Chelsea's driving late for a dinner party when a soft-voiced reporter for the local NPR station announces it. John Allen Blue's final appeal was denied this afternoon. His November the 3rd execution date will stand. Kentucky's governor has no plan to offer a stay. The Chevy in front of her stops, brake lights casting a red glow over Chelsea's face. She's so distracted she doesn't slam on her brakes until it's too late. A sickening thud drowns out the radio for a moment. The Chevy driver flips his hazards on, throws his driver's side door open, and runs up to her Prius. He's a white man in his mid-40s in a canvas Carhartt coat. Through her closed door and windows, she can make out some of what he's yelling. "Stupid! What the fuck? Just paid it off." Before opening the door to face him, she makes sure her coat is unbuttoned. "Did you hear me?" he demands once she stands in front of him. "I asked, what the fuck is your problem? You can't watch where you're going?" She clocks the exact moment it happens. His eyes drops to her clerical collar. Before jumping back to face her, she can almost see the wheels turning as he opens his mouth then shuts it again. "Are you a reverend or something?" he asks finally. "An Episcopal priest," she says. "I'm sorry about your car. Is there any damages?" He stares at her instead of his rear bumper. Chelsea keeps her expression neutral. It's a calculated gamble. Sometimes a woman in a position like hers just makes men even angrier. He inspects the damage while cars drive around them. Although it is warm today, the temperature dropped as the sun set, and the chilly air smells like vehicle exhaust. In the glare of Chelsea's headlights, a red paint spot the size of a silver dollar marks his bumper. Otherwise, it doesn't look like there's been any damage. "Should we exchange insurance information?" she asks. He hesitates, staring at that spot of red. When he turns back to her, he doesn't meet her eyes. "Look, I'm sorry about swearing at you. It's just been a long day, and I really wanted to get home to my kids." "Oh, I completely understand," Chelsea says. "I have my insurance card in my car if you want to take a photo of it." He rubs the back of his neck. "Look, I've got a buddy who owns a body shop. I'm sure he can buff the paint out, no problem, and there's no other damage." "You're sure?" He smiles. "Yeah." She shouldn't do it. She shouldn't play into it. But she can't help it. She gives him her most poised look and says, "You have a blessed evening." Chelsea's 45 minutes late by the time she arrives at Melissa's and Steve's two-story red brick home. After parking on the street behind Daniel's truck, she walks up their driveway. Jack-o'-lanterns sit in a neighbor's front porch and the air smells like burning leaves. Despite the warmth of the day, that familiar chill is in the air. In a few weeks, it will be exactly 12 years since she last saw Abby. No one answers when Chelsea knocks. The front door is unlocked, creaking open as she says, "Hello?" The entryway and the living room are dark, but she hears someone talking towards the back of the house. Past the dining room, there's a faint greenish light coming from the kitchen. The voice, as Chelsea nears, becomes unmistakable. "I won't lie to you," John Allen Blue says. "I don't want to die." When Chelsea steps onto the laminate, she realizes the kitchen is empty, but someone left on a small green banker's lamp sitting by Melissa's cookbooks. The radio is on in the corner, and she immediately walks over and turns it off, silencing Blue. She stands there for a moment, her back to the room, pressing the hills of her hands into her eyes. "You just have to get through a few more weeks," she tells herself. "Then the worst of the media circus will be over." Is that true, though? Now he's part of the... Zeitgeist? I don't know. We gonna mark it. Hold on, y'all. Now he'll never die. The awareness comes upon her suddenly. She's no longer alone in the room. She whirls around only to find Daniel standing in the entryway to the kitchen holding a bottle of beer. "We're all out back," he says, setting the bottle next to the kitchen sink. "Steve made a fire. There are hot dogs and s'mores." He opened the fridge and grabbed a beer. After he throws his bottle cap and empty beer into Steve and Melissa's recycling bin, he studies her. I heard the news about Blue. You okay? I'm fine, she says as the tension in her chest tightens a notch. Chelsea, you can't talk to me. I said I'm fine. He opens his mouth to press her, but Melissa opens the back door and Chelsea pastes on a bright smile as she greets her. Outside, everyone sits in camp chairs except for Steve, Melissa's husband, who's standing next to the fire pit dropping more wood onto the flames. He's a quiet guy with a blonde man bun who works at the carpentry shop with Daniel and loves playing board games so complicated it takes 20 minutes to explain the rules. As they all hold hot dogs over the fire on roasting sticks, the other couple, Melissa and Steve, invited Chelsea's clerical collar. Daniel does too. He's told her before that she shouldn't wear it in social situations. It makes it hard for people to feel comfortable connecting with you, he said in the past. They feel like they have to keep you at a distance. She's never known how to explain it to him. That's exactly the point. I know that's right. The other people, Gina and Jason, just moved in next door to Melissa and Steve. Jason has taken a job as industrial engineer at the 3M plant in Forest City, coming to Iowa from Idaho. Chelsea has had many colleagues at conferences confuse the two states. She tells Gina and Jason this, how people would ask, is Iowa the one with the potatoes? And she'd have to say, no, you're thinking of Idaho. That's the one with the potatoes. So, what does Iowa have? Jason asks, the lens of his dark frame glasses reflecting the firelight. We have corn, Melissa says. Hogs, Steve says. The world's largest truck stop, Daniel says. Gina, the wife, is one of those blondes who have almost white eyebrows. She turned to Daniel and Chelsea. Are you from Iowa originally? Chelsea is, Daniel said, but she went to Sewanee for a seminar. I was living in Chattanooga, but the school hired me to do some carpentry work in the chapel. And you fell in love? Melissa said, smiling. She looks exactly like what she is, a kindergarten teacher from Iowa. Chelsea can picture her sitting at the front of a classroom, reading the kids a story with her bright smile, makeup-free skin, glossy brown hair, and shapeless dress. She would do all the voices. There's a sensuality about her, though, that cuts the wholesomeness. As she finishes her s'mores, she licks her fingertips in a way that's suggestive, but doesn't seem to be purposely so. Chelsea both envies her lack of self-consciousness and pities her for it as a thread of saliva connecting Melissa's mouth to her index finger catches the firelight before breaking. Steve nudges the logs with the fireplace poker, and Chelsea desperately tries not to think about John Allen Blue in that sorority house. When she was 22, she went to a Halloween party where someone dressed up like Blue, complete with a fireplace poker dripping in red paint. While they made s'mores, Gina prattled on about some MLM she works for, selling dietary supplements and nutritional shakes. Everything she says seems like it comes from the company marketing department. Chelsea's face is warm from the fire. She licks melted chocolate off her fingertips and zones out. In the camp chair next to her, Melissa places a charred marshmallow onto her graham cracker. After Gina finished talking about the vitamins and minerals in the company trademark Blaze powder, Melissa says, "Isn't that interesting?" Which everyone from the Midwest knows is code for shut the fuck up. Gina, although not a native Midwesterner, appears to be a fast learner and changes the subject, asking Melissa about the kindergarten she's teaching. Well, Melissa says, putting another marshmallow on her roasting stick, you would be staggered by how many of them have iPhones. Everyone starts decrying the phone addict state of their world, with Gina sharing that her 22-year-old sister even takes her phone into the bathroom. Can you imagine? Chelsea laughs politely, although she always brings her phone into the bathroom. What's more soothing than taking a shit while scrolling through curated pictures of the best parts of people's lives? Chelsea always on her phone, it feels like, Daniel says. I'll leave the room for 1 second, and when I get back, she's like... He smiles, holding the phone and tapping on it, his eyes exaggerated wide, and everyone laughs. It's a good way to connect with some of my younger parishioners, Chelsea says. They'll text or DM me on social media. Although this is true, she knows it's not the only reason. Partly, she just likes the clean, perfection social media gives her, the complete control over what people see and when. That's so sweet, Gina says, her head tilted as she smiled at Chelsea. If you want to get younger people involved in church, that's the way to do it. For a moment, Chelsea's baffled. Why is she being so nice? What's her angle? Then, as she smiled once more before popping another marshmallow in her mouth, Chelsea realizes she's just a kind person who genuinely thinks what Chelsea's doing is nice. Chelsea feels a lump in her throat. What does it say that someone's genuine enthusiasm is so baffling and foreign to her? They move from talking about social media to sharing what TV shows they're watching. Melissa and Steve have been binging The Great British Bake Off. I've been watching Calling the Midwife, Chelsea says. You already started it? Daniel said. I thought we were going to watch that together. I'll rewatch it with you, Chelsea says, shrugging. Gina gives a little laugh. The show we've been obsessed with lately is a little less PBS than all of yours. She and Jason tell them about a true crime show they've been watching. Chelsea zones out, like she does when anything true crime related is discussed. But she's pulled back in when Gina mentions the trailer for a new show she just saw. It's that series about the murders that happened across the Midwest, maybe a decade ago, she says. The guy who killed the sorority girls. Everyone stills, and there's only the sound of the fire crackling and the wind moving through the tree limbs. Somewhere down the street, a car drives past, its bass throbbing. Since Gina and Jason aren't from Iowa and don't realize how well known the murders are, Jason thinks their silence is from lack of recognition. He clarifies. The one they're going to execute soon, John Allen Blue? Obviously, Daniel knows, but judging by Melissa and Steve's expressions, they know too. Chelsea wonders if Daniel told them. Although it's possible Melissa or Steve searched her name online and found the interview she did a few years ago after she visited Blue in prison. Steve clears his throat and Melissa bites her lower lip. Is something wrong? Jason asks. It's Daniel who explains, his palms resting on his jeans as he stares at the fire. Chelsea was friends with Abby Hartman, one of the girls Blue killed. Jason looked down while Gina leaned forward, unable to hide her curiosity. She was one of the girls in the sorority house? Go fuck yourself, Chelsea thinks. Once again, it's Daniel who explains. No, she disappeared before the sorority house murders, but they've always believed he was the one who killed her. It's the same old wound sliced open here in this unfamiliar setting. Abby, the afterthought. Abby, the forgotten one. I think the way you handled it was admirable, Melissa says. Going to pray with the man who did that. Forgiving him. It's a beautiful thing for a priest to do. If Melissa only knew what her visit with Blue had actually been like, she wouldn't be saying any of this. But Chelsea knows she's only trying to be nice in an awkward situation. So she manages a smile and thanks her. Gina clears her throat. I'm sorry. I get why you find the series upsetting. No, Chelsea wants to tell her. No, you will never get it. As the fire dies down, everyone goes inside. Daniel and Melissa do the dishes, and share cooking tips while Steve, Jason, and Gina talk about people in the neighborhood. Chelsea excuses herself, stepping outside and sitting in one of the camp chairs. The embers in the fire pit glow in front of her. She should go back inside, smile wide, and show everyone that what happened didn't upset her. But instead, she stares into space and fidgets with her watch band. When that doesn't satisfy her, she picks up at her cuticle, ignoring the sting when she's too rough and a half moon of blood appear on her thumbnail bed. The execution will happen in less than a month, and she is not the person she hoped she'd be by now. She thought she'd be someone who could think about Abby with the tiniest amount of equanimity. Someone who could listen to people talk about Blue without needing to claw at her own skin. As she brings her thumb to her mouth to clean up the blood, a voice startles her. Pretty, isn't it? She cranes her neck to see Jason standing there, gesturing to the dying embers. It is, she says, affixing a smile to her face. He clears his throat and sits in a chair next to hers. I'm sorry about what happened. Oh, it's fine, Chelsea says, and she hopes she sounds like she means it. She assumes he'll nod and they'll change the subject to something polite, and then he'll go back inside with his conscience cleared. Instead, he leans towards her. Once again, she can't see his eyes, only the embers reflected in the lenses of his glasses. At least a TV show like that will get people talking, remind people what those poor women endured, what your friend endured. When Chelsea wears her clerical collar, she's usually able to push down her anger, to become still and quiet, and choose her priesthood, as someone in seminary phrased it. But tonight, she can't do it. When she speaks, her voice is low and rough. You have no fucking idea what you're talking about. That's not why people watch those shows. That's not what those shows do. They just make him bigger. People want to know what he did and why, but they don't give a shit about the women he hurt. She has never sworn while wearing her clerical collar, but Jason doesn't appear fazed. It really upsets you. She gives a surprised snort of laugh. Of course it upsets me. He holds something out to her, a napkin. Once it's in her hand, she realizes she's crying. I'm sorry, she says, dabbing her eyes the way Abby always used to, careful not to wipe and ruin her makeup. Don't apologize. She's surprised by the tenderness in his expression. She must look really fucking pitiful. He pats her shoulders and they both get up and walk back towards the house. As they reach the door, he hesitates. This might be a long shot, but I know someone who might be able to help. Have you ever heard of the podcast Infamous? Once they're home in bed, Chelsea doesn't tell Daniel about Jason's idea. Daniel will say this is because she's emotional withholding, which is the reason he wants them to pay an ungodly amount of money to do a couples retreat next month to learn how to have intimate conversations. Maybe it's true. Maybe she is emotional withholding. But also, she already knows what he'd say if she told him. This is a bad idea. It'll be just like visiting John Allen Blue, something you think will help you heal, but instead will make it even harder for you to move on. And that's what you should be focusing on. Moving on. Besides, Infamous is a huge podcast with a rabid following. There's no use upsetting Daniel about something that might not even come to fruition. I'm sorry that happened, he says, lying next to her, petting their cat Pippa, who is between them. The TV show's coming up like that. He's using his gentle voice, the one he adopts when he's talking about something to do with Abby. It used to soothe her. Now, sometimes, it feels like a performance he's putting on, like he's playing a part of the long-suffering, nice guy husband in a play only he knows about. She pictures him studying his script, thinking, I've got to be off book by Thanksgiving. It's fine, she says. Obviously, it isn't. She feels something damp on her cheeks and realizes, for the second time in the night, she has started crying without noticing. She hates that TV show and Detective Fry books and fucking John Allen Blue for getting the attention he always wanted. Most of all, she hates herself. She hates that she can still be brought to tears about this a dozen years later. I don't want to talk about it, she tells Daniel, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand and then pressing her face into the yeasty smell of Pippa's fur. Don't shut me out, Daniel says, his voice low and pleading. But she can't give him what he wants. She can't go there with him or with anyone. He takes a breath, as if he's going to say something more, but then he lapses into silence. She's grateful. This is why she married him. He doesn't push. Soon after, he's snoring. She knows she won't sleep unless she takes an Ambien, so she scrolls through social media while she waits for the sweet release of the pill. Despite being a photographer, Bree rarely posts on social media, but she has tonight uploading a photo with no caption. It's a picture someone took of Abby, Bree, and Chelsea when they were 15. They're sitting on the limestone steps at the back of the old Capitol, Abby's head tilted back as she's laughed, Chelsea's head resting on Bree's shoulder. The sun creates a soft lens flare in the top right of the photo. Chelsea studies the picture for a long time, wondering what made Bree post it tonight of all nights. Is she hearing the constant chatter about Blue's upcoming execution too? Does it feel as destabilizing to her as it does to Chelsea? Like all the hard work she's done to claw herself into a life in the present is going to be ripped away, and she'll be pulled back to those endless dark hours right after Abby first went missing. Chelsea doesn't like or comment on the photo. She and Bree have not spoken in nearly a dozen years. She clicks on Bree's photo profile and scrolls through the photos. Bree hasn't posted any pictures of her art in a long time, but back several years, Chelsea sees them. Portraits of women mostly, a woman working the counter at a gas station, rows of cigarette boxes behind her, blue eyeliner smeared around her brown eyes, neck angled down toward the lottery tickets. It reminds Chelsea of the paintings of saints. Bree has a way of making people in the humblest circumstances look almost holy. In a picture of Bree from the nearly 4 years ago, she wears overalls and holds a green bottle of beer. She's staring at something beyond the frame and she looks happy. There's a lump in Chelsea's throat and she blames Ambien for the wave of emotion. She tries to click off Bree's page, but likes the picture by mistake instead. Shit. She immediately unlikes it, but the damage is done. Bree will know Chelsea. Chelsea's been stalking her old photos. She's grateful that Ambien numbs her mortification. After setting her phone down, she picks it back up and searches John Allen Blue TV series. Ryan Worth, a former teen heartthrob, best known for his work on a Disney show about a talking hedgehog, is playing John Allen Blue. He looks like Blue if Blue had been 3 times more handsome and 10 times more charismatic. She put headphones in so she won't wake Daniel and hits play on the trailer. A drum beat accompanies shots of a handcuffed Worth walking down a hallway interspersed with flashes of dead girls. Young women face down on unmade beds, blood blooming from their heads, the naked flesh of their backs bruised and battered, femurs and tibia clustered in wooden areas with skulls smiling up from beds of pine needles. It goes so fast, Chelsea isn't sure if any of them are supposed to be Abby or if, once again, she has been ignored. The drumbeat stops. The screen goes black. I'm just a normal guy, Ryan Worth says. It's what the real John Allen Blue said at trial. She can't watch anymore, but she isn't done tormenting herself, so she types Abby's name in the search engine. Autocomplete helpful suggestions. Abby Hartman disappearance. Did John Allen Blue murder Abby Hartman? Did they find Abby Hartman's body? The image results are mostly her missing person photo, which was also her senior year picture. Abby's round face and tan, even skin. Hazel eyes that look green if she wore certain colors. Skinny eyebrows she overplucked while standing in underwear and a tank top, leaning over their dorm room mirror. White teeth with a right canine that stuck out a little too far. Hair she dyed a coppery color, although she got mad if anyone called it red. It's auburn, she'd say, rolling her eyes. In the photo, she's wearing a black strapless dress. Chelsea borrowed it once on a choir trip to New York City. She remembers how it felt against her skin. The little section of dark glitter could rub your arms raw if you weren't careful. The photographer had Abby pose with her skin resting on her hands, showing off the silver bracelet she always wore with this heart-shaped charm engraved with her initials. Under the collection of photos, Google says, people also ask, when will Blue be executed? When was John Allen Blue sorority house murder? Who was Abby Hartman? And that's the end of that chapter. Okay, I got something to say. I was trying not to say it as I was reading it. And it's too much details for me. I'm like, I know y'all know, if y'all been following me, y'all know I don't like a bunch of details like roasting the marshmallow, looking at the saliva string as she pulled the marshmallow away from her face. I'm trying to give y'all 5 chapters. I really am. But here's the thing. Me and my aunt was talking, right? And we decided, or we was talking. I haven't decided yet, but it might be a decision. But anyway, you know how I'm going to read 5 chapters of this book? I'm going to read 5 chapters of the second book as well. And I don't think I'm going to read 5 chapters of the last book because I don't think we like that book. But if you like it, if you like the 5 chapters of this book, 5 chapters of, what was the other wife, I think it was, then you will let me know, and that would be the book. Whichever book you think I should continue from these 5 chapters will be read in May. Do that sound like something? Or y'all will let me know whether you want me to continue after the 5 chapters or not. So, but that's the end of this one. I'm debating whether I want to do a definition video. I'm not going to do a definition video, but the words will be on the screen at the time that I was reading it. How about that? Okay, so that's the end of this chapter. I shall see you in the next chapter. Bye for now.